Go ahead. Make my day.
Long live the king. You killed him. No. I am your father.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too. Ah!
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hello everyone, it is Obsolete 2003 and I'm here with Augie the Froggy.
Hey,
Yes, and we are doing another movie corner segment, and this time we are coming forth with the movie It Comes at Night. It's an older movie, I guess, by now today's standards, but this is one we decided we wanted to go ahead and review with the Thanksgiving.
it came out in 2017,
Yes,
so
2017.
about 5 years,
Yeah.
maybe six, going on 6 years. But why do you feel it's a good Thanksgiving movie? I know we watch it every Thanksgiving.
Well, it's up there with Thanksgiving, but we'll save that for next year to review that movie.
And trains, planes, and automobiles.
Yes,
Yeah,
but I think it's a good movie about togetherness with not necessarily famine, but yeah, it's wholehearted family togetherness. A little bit of
pestilence again.
yeah, um, pandemic wise, I guess, getting sick, all that fun stuff that comes with the holidays. Not to mention that yes, we're still over 2 years in the pandemic right now.
Yeah, so people that are getting together with family to celebrate Thanksgiving are gonna be getting sick. Is why you wanted to do this.
This movie,
And
it's relevant.
and the pilgrims, what say with the pilgrims gave the Indians diseases and shit.
Yeah, the Pilgrims, they were struggling when they first moved to the Americas, and then Indians came and kind of saved them, and then um, yeah, it didn't kind of work out for the Indians after that.
And let's just get it straight. This wasn't a movie that we were planning on doing during October for oddities and ends trail. This is definitely a one that we're planning to do for Thanksgiving.
Yes, had nothing to do with busy October. It
Yeah,
was just yeah, we're waiting all this time
yeah,
for Thanksgiving togetherness.
yeah. All right, yeah, I agree with that.
Cool.
So, did you see this? Did you see this movie when it came out in theaters?
Actually, yes, I did. I saw it in opening night, I believe. Got my tickets. I was looked hyped for it. I think I'm not sure how long A24 has been around, but I think this is one of the first ones that kind of, in my opinion, was one of the mainstream movies.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I would look that up too now. I didn't see it opening day. I saw it. I think I told you with my other brother, and we saw it. Uh, I guess it was in the dollar theaters.
Okay, so it wasn't a first run theater, so it had been out for some time.
Yeah, I just remember like I think the Las Vegas shootings had just happened not too long ago, and when we were watching it, like that's the thing that like it's still like it's in my mind like a memory I have from it because it was raining real hard that day when we watched it, and then the power went out, and I think the the Colorado Batman shootings that happened a couple years before this, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so we were in the theater and the lights went out and it was raining and it was kind of like a little, it was a little bit eerie. That's my memory from watching this movie in the theaters.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it'd definitely be surreal. But when I saw it, no, it was nothing to that. I'd say uneventful, but it was just the movie. We didn't have any craziness happen.
And did you see the trailer before you saw this, or like how did you go into this, or did you go into it blind, or do you, or like was it something you sought out to see because of the trailer, or is it just something you kind of saw on a whim?
It was a trailer. That's kind of what I'd say lured me or into seeing it. It piqued my interest, and that's what kind of like, oh, I want to check this out. And
Because I know there's like a lot of controversy, or not controversy, but a lot of, I don't know. I know you were saying, or that they're just trying to remember, like this movie was kind of like
it's
maligned for.
it's a polarizing movie. People either like it or hate it. There's not really a whole lot of middle ground for it. It's like it was okay. It's like uh, it's very little in between. And
And you think the trailer had something to do with that?
I I think it did. And we'll get more into in detail about that if discussion of why we if we think the trailer was maybe a little misleading or not. But um, I saw it, and I'll get to more details later about how I felt about the movie overall. But yeah, we'll kind of go over that and see what our thoughts are on the trailer and building up to the movie itself and watching the movie. I guess the expectations.
Okay, so like we said earlier, this movie came out in 2017,
Yes.
and it stars Joel Edgerton, who you may know or remember from The Gift. Remember that movie with Jason Bateman?
Yes.
Did you? I didn't know this guy was into it in that movie until afterwards. He was the he was the guy that got bullied,
Yeah, yeah. I think I
and
probably saw The Gift after It Comes at Night. But yeah, I think I had that same kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, The Gift came out a good while after that. I think I'm not sure, but yeah,
We can do that movie for
he's kind
Christmas.
of um, yeah. I don't think a movie about a guy who drugs and rapes uh
Why are you
very
spoiling that
Christmas.
movie?
Yeah, spoiler alert. Anyway, this guy was in The Great Gatsby, and he's also was the new Uncle Owen from Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and I guess the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show. He plays Uncle Owen. So for all the Star Wars fans out there,
And it's not
haven't
listed, but he was also in the Thing remake movie or the prequel sequel.
did you said that was actually all right, or did you say not
Have you
was
not
not
seen
that
that
good?
movie?
No, I have not seen the thing remake, prequel,
I
sequel,
cannot believe
whatever.
you have not seen that movie.
No, I have not.
But
I haven't seen any of the John Wick movies after the first one either, or the Terminators after the second one, or I don't know.
sounds like a segment for another piece.
Yeah, probably. And his wife in the movie is Carmen Ihogo, who's I guess known for being in the movie Salem and Purge Anarchy. And their son in the movie is played by Kelvin Harrison Jr., who's I guess a rising actor.
Hmm,
He did a lot of TV stuff, and then he came out in the movie Loose. Did you ever see that movie?
I did not.
That's a pretty good movie. We saw that one in the theaters.
Hmm.
He's like some adopted son from, oddly enough, Naomi Watts and um, oh, what the hell's that guy's name from Reservoir Dogs? Tim Roth.
Hmm.
So Naomi Watts and Tim Roth are his adopted parents, who oddly enough are the married couple in Funny Games as well. They played a married couple in Funny Games, and they also a married couple in Loose. And he also came out in some other movie with Naomi Watts. I forget the name of it, but he's in this movie called Waves, and he played BB King in the new Elvis movie,
No shit.
and he's gonna. Did you see the new Elvis movie?
No, but that's cool.
Yeah, and he's gonna play Mustafa. No, not Mustafa. Mufasa in the new Lion King prequel movie,
Prequel.
or maybe prequel or remake. I don't know. He's some new Lion King movies coming out. I guess
Hmm.
at least so my notes say. So he's a decent actor. I would recommend seeing Loose when you get the chance. It's pretty good. It's like not too preachy, but
Hmm.
it's kind of like about I don't know. The lady from Ma comes out in it,
Oh,
and then the husband of the other couple is Christopher Abbott, who's done a lot of TV stuff. He was in the movie Black Bear, Possessor. I guess he came out in Possessor too. He was also in the movie Possessor. Remember that one?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And other stuff. And then I guess the other actress, his wife, is played by Riley Coe. I think is how you say her name. She's in a shit ton of stuff that I like, and I guess you probably like. She was in the Mad Max Fury Road movie. She was in Logan Lucky. She was also in Under the Silver Lake, which maybe at some point I would like to do a movie thing on that. She was also in The House that Jack Built, The Lodge, which maybe at some point we can do a thing with that. I know me and Nicholas got into an argument over that one. So we should do that. She was also in Hold the Dark, which was all right. Zola, and she's in some other shit that's coming out. But did you know she is the granddaughter of Elvis Presley?
Really?
Yeah, Lisa Marie Presley is her mother.
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. And this movie was directed by Trey Edward Schultz and also written by him, who's not known for much, but I guess he did a couple of short films from 2010 to 2014.
Mm.
And one of the short films was he made into a full length was called Krisha. Me and the wife saw that one, and it was an indie movie. It was all right, but I can't for the life of me remember too much about that movie. Just kind of like a family drama movie. And then after that, he did It Comes at Night. And in 2019, he did the movie Waves, which I'm not familiar with, and we'll probably look into more after. And I guess he's in pre-production with some movie called Cut Block. So those are my little quick notes, my abbreviated notes for this movie, the stats on It Comes at Night.
Regards to It Comes at Night, it's kind of like an overview. It takes place with a family of three, husband, wife, teenage son. Um, Looks like they're living a secluded life in a house in the woods. They don't exactly say what happens, but there's some type of pandemic outbreak, something or another, where they're staying and remaining isolated, and they're living by routine, and that comes not to a halt, but in the middle of the night they basically get an intruder, and at which point they have an altercation with said intruder, and um, they don't kill him, but it leads to a series of events where they have to decide like, what do we do? Do we let him live? Do we kill him? He knows where he lives, and they decide to ultimately, after they I guess interrogate him, he says he has a family of his own. He didn't mean to break in. He's just looking for supplies, and they decide to make a pact and unite their families. And they figure they'll be stronger together with more people, and they decide to bring him and his family to their house. And things go good for a while, but then I guess things go in a certain direction that we'll get into more details in a bit. But what do you think? That's a kind of a good kind of overview of the movie?
Yeah, that's basically what happens. And then, like you said, without giving too much away,
Because, and I guess from the time this, I'll call him at the beginning, and the intruder comes to the time that the family comes over, it's probably a span of what, a week or two? It didn't seem like a long time has
uh,
passed.
yeah, I wouldn't know. It's kind of hard to tell at the time.
Because yeah, the movie just kind of starts off with like some shit happened, and this is just how they're living. But they don't really say like The Shining or anything like that, where it says like Monday, Tuesday, 1 year later, 1 month later. But it's definitely not a long term movie. All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this movie. Did you like the movie It Comes at Night?
I don't eat meat or potatoes.
What do you eat?
Um, Nothing.
Nothing.
I like the fucking movie. All right. No, I liked it a lot. I thought it was a good movie. How about you? Did you like this movie?
Yes, I enjoyed it. I thought the movie was a slow burn, but I don't mean that in a bad way, but I did enjoy the movie itself. And again, seeing the trailers, seeing it, anticipating it release. I saw it opening night, I think. So, but even after seeing it, I definitely liked the movie, and I bought the Blu-ray when it came out. And but yeah, I definitely think it was a good watch.
I thought it was good too. I don't think it was. I don't know. To me, it didn't feel like a slow burn. I mean, there's other ones that are like way slow burn, but this one felt it had my attention. It was good, and I felt like, and I've seen it again a couple of times, and I feel like everything in the movie was very purposeful. There was no like wasted scene or no. I don't know. Everything was like
No
purposeful. I
filler.
guess. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Everything seemed purposeful.
Yeah. And the disclaimer, they're going forward, there will be spoiler alerts and all that stuff as we get to the more in-depth discussion of the movie. But um, I guess we can. Do you want to talk about now with regards to if you think the trailer was misleading or not? Do you want to say that for towards the end?
We can give that towards the end a little bit, but just thinking more about it, like I don't know, like I did like this movie, and like I said, it feels real purposeful, and like I think the movie does a good job of being subtle, but giving you details, a lot of details, and its subtlety. Like if I had more time or I was a little bit more ambitious, I would try to look up the screenplay for it and see, because like I don't know, there was a lot that the actors did with facial expressions and non-verbals, and I'm wondering what kind of I was wondering what kind of cues the director gave or what kind of things were in the script, because there's a lot of subtle stuff that tell a different story or can tell another story or more details to the story, I guess.
Hmm.
But I guess we can get into some of that in a little bit. But yeah,
Because it was the movie itself. It I would say was low budget. Not that it was like a B movie or anything like that, but it didn't have like really any special effects or CGI, and it was pretty much done in one location.
yeah, I mean, I love the movies like this. Yeah, very practical. And like I was talking to you earlier, like we were kind of talking about the Cabinet of Curiosities, I guess, earlier today.
Yep.
And like I think this, like in how some short films are like those episodes are like about an hour, maybe a little bit less. But like some of them can establish, at least to me, they don't establish things right away. They don't establish characters, or they don't establish like I don't know, they don't establish things right away. Like in this, the beginning scene, the movie starts off where you see an old man, which turns out to be the grandfather, is sick but alive, and it just kind of gives you like the brutality of the world. It's real without like this narrator talking, oh, in the year 2017, whatever has been taken over. It's just this stuff kind of happens, and then like you learn a lot about the dad character. The main character, his name was Paul, his wife is Sarah, and their son is Travis. Like you learn a lot about him. Like he's a pretty, I don't know, because I think one of the themes in this movie is humanity, but like he's like it's I don't know how to say it, but like you don't know right off the bat, but like this guy is like he's doing what he has to do to survive, and like it's just a brutal world already because it's his father-in-law, and he Mercy kills the father-in-law and they set him on fire. So I guess so they wouldn't get the disease. But like it establishes it right away. Like, man, this is tough. This is a tough times are going on.
Yes. And because yeah, again, for whatever's going on in where this is set, and yeah, it's not like the near or like the very distant future or anything like that. It seems like it's at the time, what, 2017? So it seems like
Yeah,
it's something that could be happening now, but they never said what it was. If it's just a pandemic, outbreak, zombies, anything, it's just it is what it is. Um, and yeah, like you said in the very beginning, it seemed like the grandfather, it looked like they had him quarantined in an area, and his eyes are black. He has sores all over his body, and what the wife slash daughter is kind of like telling him like it's okay, everything's gonna be okay, and um,
it's like it's okay to give up or it's okay to give in because I know, like, I guess she knows that the husband's about to kill him or whatever. I
yeah,
don't know. It's pretty tough.
and I guess that segues into kind of just like you're saying the reality of everything because um, the husband wanted to spare his wife, the daughter of the grandfather. It's like I'll take care of this. And I forgot if it was the son or the husband said they need to get the son involved, Travis, because he was what, like a middle, he's in his teens, and it's like he has,
He's 17 years old.
yeah, and to kind of spare the mom, and as well as he's becoming an adult, we need to, I guess, get him ready for this new world.
Yeah, because the mom didn't want him to be to witness the murder of her father and the burning of it and stuff. And she said she should have been the one that was out there. And the husband was like, "No, that wouldn't be right." And yeah, like you said, Travis has to. It'd be a disservice for him not to be part of this, and if we shelter him, and that's kind of like to me, that's another theme that's going to be going on with him, like with his character, is like transition and growing up and becoming an adult, becoming a man in this world. I guess that's kind of like one of the themes too in this.
Yeah, because it establishes the movie pretty good that yeah, it's the family. They're kind of living their own. I guess you could say they're living off the grid, and where they live, it's yeah, very secluded where you don't see they don't have any neighbors nearby, or like they're not in a city where you can see um the city in shambles or bodies outside or anything like that.
Yeah, it's definitely in the woods, and it's a big old property that was owned, I guess, by the grandfather Bud.
Yes.
So it was his property that they were on. But yeah, and then mostly it's that's what I feel like this movie. There's a lot of clues. I think there might be more clues in what happens, like with some other stuff than I don't know. It's very meticulous when you rewatch it because, like you said, the guy breaks in. Will breaks in. They get invaded. He comes in at night. Will is the first thing really that comes in at night, and he breaks into the house, and they do a real good job at like. There's like a lot of details, like you're trying to figure out how did he get inside the house, and then you see the broken window, and then you see them boarding up the window later on, and then like those little things that are going to become important later on, like with the lock, because when he breaks in, there's this big old red door, like I guess like you'll see in the trailer, and like a big famous thing on this is like this red door that has to remain closed at all times. And when Will breaks into the house, he breaks that lock, and the lock goes flying off. And they make sure to show in another scene, they show the wife, Sarah, fixing the lock, and they show her like tightening it and
Checking it.
fixing it. Yeah, because this is going to come up later on in the movie. So at least they're showing, okay, that she's putting it back together, you know?
Yeah.
And then later on, they show the couple boarding up the window. You see the broken glass, and okay, that's how Will got in. He didn't break through the door or whatever. He broke through the window. So there's a
Yes.
lot of little details like that.
And because what he claimed that he was looking for supplies for his family, and he says or claims that had he known there was people living in there, because from the outside it looked abandoned, but he's just um had he thought people were living there, he claims he would not have attempted to have broken in.
Yeah, so we can, I guess, do it brief and then we get it more detailed, or how do you want to do this? Like, because yeah, he breaks in. They're not sure if they can trust him. The wife tells Sarah tells Travis, "Hey, they know where we are. Maybe he saw the smoke from when you burned my dad or when you burned Grandpa, and maybe that's how he knew where we were and stuff like that. We can't let him go, but they still have humanity. They know he's not sick. He's not a sick human, so it's kind of hard. Like they still have that humanity in them to where they can't just kill him. Like they're not like savages. They're not just gonna kill this guy who says he has a family as well.
Yeah,
And then it's that thing too. So that's like it's realistic. That's what I like too, because it's a realistic dilemma in that situation because of their humanity. It's like, well, if we let him go, he knows where we're at. How do we know we're not going to come back? He's going to come back and try to get us. And they're like, well, Will was telling him, well, I know I'm skipping around, but when he breaks in, um, Paul gets the upper hand on him, and he he pulls the gun on him, and Will holds his hands up. Oh, don't shoot, whatever, whatever. And Paul knocks him out, and he checks to see, make sure that Will was alone, and he was. And then he ties Will to the tree, and he leaves him there for a couple of days to make sure, I guess, he didn't turn into like this infected person.
yeah,
And then after that, he has, I guess, this conversation with Will, where he asks Will to tell me, like, make me believe you, tell me the truth, what's going on, what's
yeah.
your side of it.
Because he pretty much has him. He's tied up and he's being held at gunpoint. Like you're saying, he's like, convince me not to kill you. That you're why I shouldn't kill you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like on rewatching it. There's a lot of like like I said, the humanity of things in this, because it's interesting. It's kind of funny, but when he gets the upper hand on Will, he tells Will, lay down. And then the next thing he tells him is roll over. And it's kind of similar. And then he ends up tying him up. He ties him up to the tree. So there's a lot of parallels with Will and the dog, their dog, the family dog. So there's just these weird parallels. And it's like, and I don't think it's like coincidental. It's like, it's purposeful. He leaves Will tied up to the tree like you would do an animal or the dog. And then coincidentally, finally, when after a few days or a day or two, Will's still alive, he's not a zombie or whatever, he gives Will some water like he wouldn't do a dog. And he takes off his mask too. That's another thing. That's when he kind of accepts him as a human. It's like he kind of, and then he tells him to stand up and stuff like that. It's just like he has like the humanity of like he's viewed as common, like I don't know. There's just parallels with the dog, and then finally he's able to um like feel comfortable enough that he's not going to be a zombie. He takes off his mask and he sees him as a human. He takes off his gas mask or whatever, and that's when he tells Will to convince me that I can trust you or whatever.
Yeah. And I guess kind of playing with what you're saying with the humanity, because while he's being questioned or whatnot, um, Will's kind of like plays into it. It's like you have your family. It's like there's no hard feelings. I completely totally understand what you did, what you had to protect your family. It's like I have a family too. It's like um, you know, like quite say I would have done the same thing, but he's trying to get on that same level with with Paul. It's just like you have a family, I have a family. Um, it's nothing personal.
Do you want to get into it now? What did you make of the Will character right now? Like, do you believe his story, or what about it? Like like
It
how much of his story do you believe?
it seemed believable. But it's just as yeah, that's what makes it so realistic, or just like being in that situation. It's like, do you believe him? Do you trust him? And um, I mean, for the most part, he looked just on appearance, he looked healthy. He didn't look like a meth head or someone like on a bender or anything like that. And he because he had a shotgun, he technically had it pointed at Paul, but once Paul got in the room, he like don't shoot. Like he acted first by dropping the guard. He had a shotgun where Paul had a bolt action rifle, but it didn't turn into a shootout, which it could easily
Yeah,
have happened. But then once it was like, oh shit, he backed off. So that kind of maybe played into some of the part where it's like, okay, this could be um, some level of trust. And I guess like
yeah,
he kept the story kind of he kept it straight. Like he didn't I guess like the any tells that he was lying or any well, granted he was tied up, but like any body movements or like any stuttering, like you can tell when he's trying to when you catch someone in a lie or like making up a story.
So that was part of the story he told when he was still tied up before Paul gives him the water and lets him be, and he tells him that it's just him and his wife and his son, and that they were at their brother's place or something like that. His brother, he says his brother's place, and he gives him that story. But before that happens, like this is like maybe I'm reading more into it, and then maybe you should, maybe if you rewatch it or it comes on TV, you see it again.
Hmm.
The camera is like kind of like behind Will, he's tied up, and it kind of zooms on his face, and I'm calling bullshit on his story. Like, I think Will was full of shit. Like, I think the wife Sarah was right that he did see the smoke from the fire from when they burned the grandpa, and he was wanting to probably steal their supplies and shit like that. And that's, I think, because if you watch it again,
Hmm.
the director, like, it's a lot of clues. Like, he, at least from my point of view, there's a lot of clues. The director shows the smoke going up. It zooms into the smoke going up into the air, and the wife Sarah mentions that. And I think like humanity is like Wilson the volleyball for this main character Paul. Like, he's trying to hold on to it, but it's hard. And he even tells Will, make me believe you. It's not like I'm like I don't know, I'm gonna, like, he wants to believe it. He doesn't want it to be not true, which is gonna play into the part later on. And then it's interesting, like you said, and I was thinking that too when he busted in. They could have been a shootout because like they both had guns, and you made a good point. Like, Will had the better gun, but I think that's where they differ. Like, because once he gets the story from Will, and Will It's weird. I know I'm bouncing around,
No, it's
but
fine.
I'm calling bullshit. Wolves, I'm calling bullshit. This is my theory on it. Like he fucking saw the smoke and he wanted to break into their house or do whatever he was needed to do to get their supplies.
Hmm.
And the only thing that separates them is Paul is more capable. Like he's more willing to do the shit that he has to do to survive. And Will is not there. He's not there. He's like, and we'll get into that in a little bit from now. But and then it's weird because Will picks up that, in my point of view, in my opinion, he picks up that Paul is buying his bullshit. That oh, he was just looking for whatever, whatever. I'm like, once he noticed that he got Paul on the line on the hook, he's like, okay, well, I can reel this guy in. I've the tables have turned now. He's believing me now. Not that he planned on fucking him over, but at least he knew he was a little bit more comfortable because you look at his eyes, and it's interesting because the dad, Paul, even tells Will, and it's foreshadowing. If you lie to me, I'm gonna kill you, and it's kind of foreshadowing what's gonna happen because that eventually is what happens. But even before that, he tells them the story that's true about this family, and they go driving to try to pick up the family, right?
Yes, that was the family decision that was made, and even going into that, when Paul's telling his family like we're gonna leave, it's gonna be like a day's drive, but I'm gonna stay there extra days just to make sure the quarantine basically. He doesn't want to bring anything back to his family. And the part that resonated a lot with me, it's like if I don't come back, like, don't look for me. It's like he's ready to write himself off to his family, and it's like that's a big leap of faith, trusting this guy you don't know to supposedly pick up his
Yeah,
family and his resources.
yeah, and I guess it was also so they can get the resources mostly too, like you said, and also to know like how the wife said too, Sarah said that it'd be if we can like we can get them to be on our side, so maybe there'll be more of us to defend this place. If he found this place, other people will find it. If there's more of us, we can defend it better or protect it better. And then they needed the supplies as well. Instead of trading, she said, we might as well just bring the animals here and we can kind of share our resources,
Yes, because
which is like,
sorry, real quick, because Paul, I guess, had an abundance of water. They have a well, but then I guess Will had, I guess, more food. They had live animals and I guess a decent food supply.
yeah. And yeah. And then it's logical. Like it's a tough situation. It's like there's benefits for both choices and there's like drawbacks to both choices. Like it's realistic. That's what I liked about it. Like you can see it's a dilemma. Like it's not an easy choice to make. You can see like the consequences both ways.
Yeah, it's not a Mad Max scenario where it's post-apocalyptic and everyone's just like kind of killing each other or whatnot. It's these are everyday people trying to make a decision like, do I kill this person? And well, the first time
Yeah,
it was a mercy kill, killing the grandfather, but this is like in cold blood. Do you kill him? Do you let him live? Do you let him go?
yeah. It's that humanity part because they're all just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So they go to and like I said, like I think everything is like relevant. Like there's no filler. Like you said, like so they go drive to pick up the family and they're in the Will is in the back seat and like everything is real like meticulous like with this the way it was directed and what's in the movie and what's not in the movie
And because yeah,
because like
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no what
I don't know if you caught it or not, but when they're loading up the truck, getting ready to leave, even before um, it's it's like a truck with like a small back seat. Um, Will technically could sit in the truck, but Paul tells him you're gonna ride in the back, and then the back there's a bunch of supplies. There's water, there's gas, food, what have you, and Will's okay with it. As Will gets in the truck, they're kind of establishing that trust, like, okay, this is what we're doing. And he tells them too, like after he had him bound and tied, it's like, we're good, right? Like, I don't have to worry about you do
Yeah,
the unspoken, like, we're good. You're not gonna do anything to me. It's like, yeah, it's fine, no hard feelings. But right before Paul gets into the truck, he goes to the back and he takes a hammer that he had in there and he takes it with him in the truck, kind of leaving Will without any tools or any weapons. It's like, I trust you, but I don't trust you.
exactly. And it's like it's all these little details that give credence to these characters and their beliefs and like their situation, because that's exactly where I was going to. Like, and like I said, the director makes sure to show all these little things. It doesn't like shine a beaming light on it, but like I said, they showed the wife fixing the lock and exactly the hammer. Like, you don't need that scene in the movie, but it shows that it's like, okay, he trusts him, or it's slowly progressing, but it's not there to where it's like he feels safe enough for him, even though he has a gun in front seat and driving. A hammer still would be dangerous if he's like he doesn't completely trust him.
Yeah.
And like there's these little details. So like this scene that's coming up is that when they're driving to pick up the wife and kid, they get shot at and the truck kind of crashes a little bit. And Paul jumps out of the truck and he jumps under the truck, and then he shoots the first man that he sees. He shoots him in the leg, and then the guy falls, and then he shoots him in the stomach, almost like Miller's Crossing style. And he shoots him, and then there's a second guy. You hear Will jump off the truck, and I guess attacking the second person, which turns out to be the son. And like it's okay, like this could just be a scene where okay, along the way it's just filler because it shows okay, it's a dangerous world, and like it throws in that little bit of confusion because Paul asked Will, "Are these guys your friends? Do you know those guys? It's a setup. You told me you were driving for however you were going for however long. You didn't come across anybody, and then we drive for 5 minutes, and then we're attacked." And Will, like, you still don't believe him because, like, if you're in that situation as Paul, like, you're trying to, it's like you would have the same exact questions. But then Will starts beating the shit out of the other one, and like it makes Paul believe, like, okay, yeah, like if he was with this person, why would he be beating the shit out of this person? And
Yeah.
I think so then he tends to believe Will's story. But I think there's something else going on in this scene. This scene is expressing what each one of these characters is capable of, because they're both trying to survive. They both have families and they're both trying to protect their families. And they both have some level of humanity to them. But fucking Paul didn't hesitate to put a bullet in that one that Will was just pounding the guy. And this is going to come up later on, too. Like, Will is pounding this guy to like, he's just beating the shit out of this guy. But Paul doesn't hesitate to just shoot him, and it surprises Will. Will is like, "You didn't have to shoot him."
But
Like
I,
he was
I don't know if you
shocked.
caught it, but like after, at least in my opinion, when Paul shoots that same guy, it's not a zoom in, but it shows Paul after the fact, and you see his, I think it's his trigger hand, it's shaking like, oh my God, I just like killed someone. And it's not like a super duper heavy duty shaking, but it's just, I don't know, it's like it's one of those subtle things that like, shit, he just killed somebody.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
but no, no, but that's exactly like he's willing to do it. Like it's not like something he's like a cold blooded fucking killer or whatever. He's like just a regular school teacher. It turns out, but he did what he had to do. Or Will was only beating the shit out of him, and Will was like, "Oh, maybe we could have got information," which is kind of like, maybe I'm not man enough to kill this guy, which kind of coincide with the fact that Will didn't get into that shootout with Paul. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so like it just shows like Paul's not somebody to be fucked with. He's not like this mean ass person, but he's capable of doing what he has to do. And I
Yeah.
think that's what that scene was establishing. And then the next scene is basically you see them returning with the family, Will's family, the son and the daughter. I mean the wife and the son.
Yes. And yeah, so like it wasn't a bullshit story, and yeah, like I said, they're alive. They have the animals they said they had. They had chickens and goats, and that's when I guess the Paul's going over the house rules and um just like he has the only key in and out of the house. There's only one way in, one way out, and one of the things he emphasizes is we always if we go outside we always go in pairs, but we never go out at night. It's just an absolute thing unless it's an emergency. We never go out at night, and it just kind of well, I mean the title says it comes out at night, and but he just kind of laid emphasis to that. Um, but I guess what after they lay out the ground rules, it's just kind of showing them both families bonding together.
Yeah, there's like a montage, and then real quick because it's important. Um, Travis, the oldest son, the son of Paul and Sarah, he has a series of dreams, and the first dream comes all well, obviously all those dreams come at night. They're also something that comes at night, but the first dream comes before Will gets there, and then he wakes up. I guess his first dream is when he sees the grandpa. Like there's a red door. We can't like we have to emphasize this red door that separates the inside of the house from the kitchen, which is a segue into the outside world, right?
Yeah,
So this red door is like very Shyamalan, like thick red, and it's got the lock on it. And the day that the grandpa dies, the night that the grandpa dies, I guess Travis was real close to the grandpa. He has a dream where he's walking down the hallway to the red door, and he opens the red door and he goes to the quarantine room, which is like I guess a kitchen or something, and he sees the grandpa in there, and then the grandpa turns to him like jump scare style and has all this oil type black ooze shit coming out of his mouth, and then he like oh makes like a scary sound, and then Will wakes up. I mean Travis wakes up. So that was his first dream. And then before that, like I know like they show he goes into the room and he tells the dog, okay, don't worry, dog, I'll protect you. And inside the room is that painting that we were talking about earlier.
yes, it's a very
And
vivid painting.
the painting was titled The Triumph of Death.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy looking. It's just like was a bunch of skeletons kind of killing a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like this is, I mean, maybe we can find the picture of it and put it on the thing. But it's not like it's a famous painting, evidently. It's just like I guess, an apocalypse or some type of, yeah, some hardcore war going on. But anyway, so that was the first dream of five that Will is gonna, I mean, fuck Will, Travis is gonna have throughout this movie. That was the first dream. He encounters the grandpa after they killed the grandpa. He has a dream that night, and then he wakes up, the mom wakes him up telling him, oh, somebody's in the house. And that's turns out to be Will had broken in. And then, like you said, back to where we were at, like the families are montage, they're getting along pretty good and shit like that.
Yeah, do you think because they show where I guess Will showing Travis how to cut wood and they seem to be bonding pretty good and do you think Paul was getting jealous of that? Because it's with the whole, I guess, son and dad thing, where especially being a teenager, if they or didn't quite get along or not get along, but just like trying to, I guess, relate or be on the same page.
That thought crossed my mind, but I don't think it was like I would, if I had to go one way, I would say no, it wasn't a jealous thing. I think it was just maybe like a scared because it might not end well, or it's like, and that'll come up later on. But I think it's just worried that, hey, don't get too comfortable with things being good or nice because it might not always last.
Yeah, because yeah, kind of jumping around at some point, um, before shit really hits the fan, um, Paul tells Travis, his son, it's like only trust family or something like that. But
Yeah, that I'll bring that up later on too.
Okay. Um, but yeah, I guess everything kind of seems hunky dory. But then, at some point, that's when the dog gets loose, and that becomes a whole scene because um, Travis goes running after the dog despite his dad telling him not to, and um, Travis loses sight of the dog, and he just stops at a random place in the forest, and he, I guess, gets spooked. They don't really show anything. He's just looking around, but it seems like something not necessarily set him off, but stopped him in his tracks.
Yeah, like give me 1 second. I'll give you my thoughts on that. But I'm just looking at my notes because I know that there's five dreams,
Hmm.
and the second dream. So the first dream was the same night the grandpa got killed,
Hmm.
or they killed the grandpa. So that night he has the dream, and then Will comes and breaks in. So he's he's something that comes at night. Will comes at night. That night the grandpa dies, and I'm assuming like I would speculate it's because of the smoke from burning the grandpa.
Hmm.
And like I don't know if we emphasized it enough, but the dad is not sure if Will's gonna change into this like infected person, so they keep him tied to a tree for a day or two. And in between that span, um, what you call it, Travis has a second dream where he goes outside to check on. He goes outside. He passes the red door and he goes outside and checks on Will. And Will looks at him, and Will has black eyes, which the actor himself does have real black eyes. And Will looks at him with his black eyes, and I don't remember if he has like that oil shit coming out of his mouth too.
I don't think he does, but his whole eye is black, like the white part, everything's black.
Yeah. So that's dream number two. And then after that, like maybe the day or two after that, or that next morning, that's when Paul talks to him and realizes he's not infected, and he lets him loose, gives him the water, buys into his story, and they go get the family. So those are the two dreams that have happened at this point.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see when dream number three happens. But it's important too because, like you said, it's kind of interesting because I was wondering, yeah, is Paul getting jealous at Will because of him bonding with Travis? But like ultimately, no, I don't think that's what happens.
Because I can see where Travis has to be the father figure. It's like I'm not your friend, I'm your father, and I'm also the protector. And Travis being a 17-year-old kid with no siblings, um no one to, I guess, be a kid with. The only one maybe was the grandfather who's no longer in the picture.
Yeah, and they did show pictures of him, like he was, I guess, close with the grandpa.
Yeah, which was, I guess, a big deal, and why when the dog got away, um, Travis went running after it, trying to see if he can get him.
Okay, and rewinding real quick, I'm looking at my so dream number three
Hmm.
that Travis has is a little bit before that conversation you were talking about, and before the dog gets loose.
Oh, okay.
So dream number three is right before that, and dream number three is when it's weird because it shows him like he's going down the hallway and he's looking, and this is part of his dream, and like a couple of his dreams he has dreams within the dream, but he's walking down the hallway and he looks in Will and Kim's bedroom, and he just sees Andrew sleeping on the bed. Will and Kim are not on the bed, but you hear moaning going on in the dream, like if they're having sex, but that's like you don't see them in the dream, but there's moaning going on, but only Andrew is asleep on the bed. You don't see where Will and Kim are,
Mm.
which is weird. And I think I can explain that later. And then he wakes up. It's going to turn out to be a dream. It's a fake out, but he wakes up within that dream. And then when he wakes up, Kim is in his bedroom, and he's a 17-year-old kid, and she's this young wife, and she's in this bedroom, and she gets on top of him, and she starts kissing him, and then she has oil in her mouth, and she starts kissing him, and she's like contaminating him with this oil that's oozing out of her mouth, and that's dream number 3. And like you can tell like he's eyeballing her because obviously it's like probably the first woman he's seen in however long, and he's a 17-year-old kid. Like we don't know how long this has been going on, and that's dream number 3.
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah. And god damn it, what's the name of the dog? Dear, um,
It was,
Stanley,
yes,
Stanley,
Stanley.
Stanley, I think. Because then, yeah, then it's gonna cut to. I'm trying to remember. No, okay. So after that sex type dream he has with Kim, he goes downstairs and he has a conversation with Kim. Like he wakes up and Kim's in the kitchen because she can't sleep and he can't sleep, and he has that conversation with her. Do you remember that part?
Yes, yes, I do.
And again, like this could be a filler scene. It could be considered a filler scene, but they just have like this like, and that's another thing too, because everything seems realistic. All the acting is very well. It doesn't seem like they're actors. It seems like they're real people. Like it doesn't seem like
Organic.
they're acting. Yeah, exactly. So they have this like real nice organic conversation. Then later on in the conversation, I guess Kim is stretching out and she notices that Travis is kind of eyeballing her breast or whatever. And then she kind of like, oh, snaps out. Oh, he's like, kind of like, oh shit, how old are you again? And all this. And it's kind of like this little awkward moment. But like to me, all of that is like relevant because it, like, I think the door, like this red door, which is like the symbol into the outside world, is, it's got to me different meanings to it. And we can get into that later
Mm.
towards the end. But after it's all, I'll have to go over the rest of the movie. But like all that stuff is to me relevant. And then whatever the next morning is when that conversation takes place where, yeah, like the dad is talking to Travis. He's like, oh, Will, go take the wood over there. And it's interesting because that's when he, like, he can see, he notices Travis eyeballing Kim again. And then he's like, oh, it's nice having them around, right? And yeah, like Travis is like, yeah, I like having them around. It's good. And then out of the blue, fucking Paul just tells him, but you can't trust them. Like the only people you can completely trust is family. And kind of like just raining on the parade, and like you said, maybe is he might be possibly jealous or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's just weird, and it's not. I don't think accidental. But after he says that, seconds later is when the dog. Oh fuck! What was the name of the dog again?
Stanley.
Stanley. That's when the dog starts seeing this invisible thing.
From yes, from what you're saying in regards to the sex dream happens, the talk of only trust family, and I guess that night, because um,
Yeah, well,
Paul,
he mentions the trust, and then the dog gets loose. Stanley
yes,
gets loose.
Yeah, Stanley got loose, which Travis went chasing him, and um, his dad Paul chewed his ass out about just running away like that. And he said like he knows his way. He'll come back. Like don't worry about it. But he got a good scolding for it. And I guess it's later in that evening, and um, Paul is trying to make peace with his son, and he goes into him to him in his room, and he's like not really saying he's sorry, but it's telling him like, look, we'll look for the dog in the morning. I'm sure he's okay. And all the while, Travis is kind of just dismissing him because he's drawing something with charcoal, and um, the he says, yeah, okay. Kind of blows off his dad, and as dad's walking away, they kind of pan onto the drawing, and it looks like he's drawing two people, like looks like World War I gear. They're kind of like wearing helmets and gas masks, and I guess like ponchos, but they're like in the forest. So I don't know if that's kind of, to me it seemed like it was alluding to something maybe he saw earlier when he freaked out in the forest earlier, or the woods. At least to me that was kind of my interpretation,
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think that, but I can see how you can think that.
because they earlier when he stopped did a dead stop in the woods, he's just looking from left to right, and it's kind of showing from his perspective, first person, and it's just the woods. It's greenery, and like you're looking for something. It's like what made him stop? What's freaking him out? And there's nothing there. You don't see anything moving. You just kind of hear sounds of the woods, nature. But so like what the hell made him stop? But then later on that same night, he's drawing this. Granted, he never said he saw anything or like that, but to me, that's kind of what I picked up on in that scene. Like, is that what he saw? Is that what he thought he saw? But um, I just thought that was a very interesting thing he drew. But as Travis is, I guess, trying to wrap up the night, he that's when he meets up with Will, I guess, in an office, in a room or whatnot, and they decide to. Travis decides to have a drink with Will, and Will's like, "Oh no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to open up the alcohol." And um, it seems like they themselves are starting to have a bonding moment, which didn't really seem like the bros or the guys or whatnot. And that's when he kind of get into the backstory of Will and Travis. As you mentioned earlier, Travis saying he was a history teacher.
Paul.
Yes, sorry, Paul. He was the history teacher.
Yeah, and Will just was like a handy guy, mechanic, worked odds and ends here and there.
but not gaming.
Yeah,
But yeah, just kind of a general laborer. That's kind of his thing, just anything with his hands, whatnot. But as while they're kind of sharing this drink, um, he's getting Will's kind of just talking, and he mentions that it was just him and his dad growing up. And it's like, but earlier in the movie when he was being interrogated, he said when he fled the city, they stayed at his brother's house. And apparently his brother had already died, assuming that he died from the plague or outbreak, whatever the hell it was. At which point, um, the dad, Travis, no,
Paul.
Paul, I'm confusing the names. Paul picked up on that real quick, and it's like, I thought you said you had a brother. At which point, Will kind of starts to backpedal. It's like, oh no, my brother-in-law. That's, we're kind of we're real close, and he's like a brother to me. And
But it was legit. I would say it was a legit. It was. It wasn't like he fumbled like my brother-in-law. It was like he, if it was a lie, he covered it up pretty good. Or if it was the truth, he did it. Like it seemed organic. Like they didn't do like an over thing. Like
Yeah,
Where like if you're in Paul's situation, it's a tough call to make whether he's bullshitting or he's being honest. It's not like, well, yeah, they made it obvious, like, no, I didn't say that. You misheard me. Like he covered it up pretty good if it was a lie, and if he misspoke or if he was being honest, you can you can see how he could have misspoke or it could be misinterpreted. Like if you're in Paul's situation, it's a hard call to make.
because yeah, at that point, that's when Paul basically closes up shop. He takes a drink. It's like, well, I'm gonna go to sleep, and like it's skewed his opinion of Will.
Yeah, nonverbals, like it doesn't say anything. He didn't say you're a fucking liar or anything,
Yeah,
but like the nonverbals, yeah,
which for me, that's where I think that's where Will got caught in the lie because he could have said he already said when he was being interrogated that he had a wife and kid that he could have said at that time we're staying at my step or my brother-in-law's house, but he was very quick to say my brother, and
yeah,
that's kind of how I interpret how you're saying earlier you called bullshit for um, earlier. That's kind of where I call bullshit that he got caught in the lie. It was one of those things that like time passed. It's just like he dropped his guard and didn't think much of it, and that's where he had a very minor slip up. Like you said, it wasn't obvious. It was very subtle. He played it off pretty good, but it was still picked up on.
yeah. I had a little alcohol in them.
Yes,
Loose lips sink ships.
indeed. So yeah, that was kind of a major tipping scale right there. Kind of a not say conflict, but yeah, definitely raised awareness. And
Yeah,
um, I guess after that, that's when
yeah. It was
Travis,
a pretty eventful night.
yeah, because Travis wakes up in the middle of the night and he sees Andrew sleeping on the floor in the grandfather's room, and it's like just very randomly. It's like okay, whatever. Maybe the kid slept, walk, got up, what have you, but um, just being the I guess responsible person, like anyone would do with a kid, he held his hand and like let me walk you back to your parents' room, and
He carries them.
he carried him.
Yeah, I think he carries them.
Hmm. Well, either way, they made contact with each other. I thought he held his hand, but you're saying he carried him. But either way, he took the kid to the room, and it was what on the way back to his house or his house, his room. That's when he sees what the red doors open.
Yeah, and then he hears like a noise coming from it, and then he freaks out and he tells his dad. He goes up to the bedroom and tells Paul, somebody's in the house or some shit like that. He hears the noise.
Yeah, and that's when like again it's a big race to see what's going on, and um, the everyone's racing over there, and the uh, Paul. That's when they see what it's the dog.
Yeah, Stanley, the dead dog. I mean, they see Stanley inside inside that kitchen quarantine area, and we just get maybe one shot of the dog inside there.
Yeah, it's very brief, and something happened to the dog where it's almost like I guess kind of in a fetal position, and it's I want to say gutted, but it's still kind of alive. But something happened to it. Something very bad happened to it where
Yeah, a lot of blood. Yeah,
yeah, it's a lot of blood. It's mangled, still alive. At which point they're telling the kids to leave and that Paul and Will are gonna take care of it. Which ultimately, I think yeah, you hear the gunshot and obviously they burn it.
And I think they didn't want Travis to see the dog at first, but I think at the end that when they're burning him, he's out there.
I don't think he went outside.
And okay, well, I think he did, but I don't know. It doesn't really. It's not that important. But they killed the dog. The son's upset. He wanted to see Stanley or whatever. And let me see Stanley. And the dad's like, he's fucking sick. You are not gonna see him. We're gonna burn him or whatever.
Yeah. Which leads to, I guess, what, an impromptu meeting of was
Yeah, they reconvene inside the kitchen dining room, I guess.
yeah, and they're just trying to basically figure out what the hell happened because obviously the dog didn't let himself in to a locked house, and
Yeah, and he was in the kitchen, the
yes,
quarantine area.
mm-hmm. And it just kind of raises
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, because like Travis was like, I woke up, Andrew was asleep. I took him to the bedroom. I saw the door was unlocked. I heard the noise from it, and they're like, "What do you mean the door was unlocked? Who unlocked the door? How did?" Because it's for all like, and it's kind of funny and kind of weird because it's like the door is locked, but it's not locked like with a lock. It's just basically one of those locks where you just slide it to the left or whatever, and it opens the door.
Yeah,
So it's not like they have like this big old combination padlock thingy on it. It's just one of those. It's on the
like a
inside.
latch.
Yeah, so you slide it to one side. So that was not latched or it was opened, and the dad is freaking out because he's like, well, he knows the dog is sick. So who was in there? Who went in there? How did that door get unlocked? Or who opened it?
Yeah, and that's basically when Travis said he saw Andrew because he said he didn't open it, and
Yeah,
they
he said maybe Andrew opened it.
and it's just getting to one of those things where his parents kind of get defensive, but at the same time, it's like the latch is at a height where it seems like Andrew wouldn't be able to reach it because he's still a kid. He's maybe what 5, 6 years old,
I think 5 years old. Yeah,
and the latch is something for an adult would be at their reasonable height. So it's just one of those
yeah.
things.
And then they make the decision. Like they're both kind of upset at each other, or kind of like yeah, kind of offended by each other, or whatever. The whole situation to where they both agree, both families agree to quarantine from each other and not have any contact with each other. They're gonna stay inside the house together, but not interact with each other for a couple of days is what they decide.
Yes, and because was that table that yeah, I think you mentioned that Travis said he walked Andrew to the bed.
They carry him to the bed.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure. He got him to the bedroom.
Yes. So in either case, yeah, they decided to self-quarantine and all that stuff. And it was at this point Travis is sleeping in his parents' bedroom and he has another nightmare, another dream.
Dream number 4. Yep.
And
Where
go ahead.
no, let's go for it.
Because dream number 4, that's when he's in the shared room and his grandfather's sitting across from him. And his grandfather,
And then
what? Is that not the right dream?
no, but something happens before that. He goes outside. He goes outside first. The dream number 4 is another fake out, or it's a dream within a dream.
Oh,
The
those
first
fake
part is
outs.
he goes outside because dream number 4, he goes outside. He hears Stanley barking because his whole situation with Stanley just happened, and like he gets his gun and he's looking for Stanley, following the barking, and then he finds Stanley, but we just see his reaction. We don't see what actually he sees, but Travis sees like the barking stops, he's growling or whatever, and something happens, and Travis sees it, but we, the audience, don't see it. And whatever he sees and wakes him up, or wakes him up within the first dream, within the dream. And then when he wakes up, I think is when he sits up and he sees his grandpa across from him.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. His grandpa's shirtless with the black eyes and all the sores, and that's when I guess Travis is also sitting up now, and he looks down and he sees his arms are all covered in sores, the same sores that his grandfather has. I guess kind of indicating that he's infected,
Yeah,
but which ultimately that wakes him up from the dream within the dream, and I guess from
yeah, and then
the he gets up and that's when he hears was it Andrew, right?
yeah, here's Will and Kim like arguing or worried about Andrew.
Yeah, because I think
Andrew,
they're saying they want to leave and that they should go, and all the while you kind of hear Andrew in the background just kind of coughing, which alerts him. Immediately goes to tell his parents, wakes them up. It's like kind of gives them an idea. He lets them know what's happening, and they're freaking out because now they're trying to wonder what they should do. At which point the parents ultimately comes to the decision like we need to kill them. We should kill them. And Travis is the one saying like, wait, like let's let this play out. And he's kind of telling them it's like, well, I touched Andrew. It's like if they're sick, I'm sick, and they're just kind of like trying to reassure him, oh, you're gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Just wait here. And um, yeah, that's when things kind of just de-escalate or escalate quickly.
yeah, that's another real good thing too for like the organicness of it, because it's just real sudden and it is a tough call. Like it is a fucking extreme to want to kill this young couple and their kid, their 5-year-old kid. But at the same time, it's not like they're just being crazy. Like there is a chance that they're going to want to take their stuff. There is a chance that they know where they are and want to come back maybe. And it's like these are valid concerns. Whether the ends justify the means or not is another story. But like these are valid things. It's not like they're just being extreme, like, oh, let's kill them. But it's like they're afraid. They're like in that situation. They're scared that, okay, these people might be infected. They want to leave. They're going to take our food that we've kind of started to get accustomed to having, or like their animals or whatever back.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the son's point of view too. Like, if they're sick, I'm sick. Like, what the hell? Like, I was touching the son. I was me and Andrew. I carried Andrew. I carried Andrew to the bed.
I'm sure they're holding hands.
And then this is, and then I guess, yeah, like you said, Travis tells the mom and dad, Paul and Sarah, what's going on, and that's when Paul and Sarah investigate. And it's kind of interesting. Like, it's sensical in the situation because they put their mask back on. But if the mask is a symbol for how they perceive the humanity in person, like somebody, it's like Will and Kim and Andrew lost they've been degraded down back to like not human anymore because now they have their mask on, but at the same time the mask is to prevent them from getting the disease at the same time. But it's also like, hey, we don't see you as human anymore, you're subhuman now, or you're just like this threat now, we need to be protected from you.
Yeah,
So the
you're.
masks are back on.
Mhm.
And it's also a callback to now Sarah is part of this. She's got her gun, and it's kind of like downgrading the son again, which was kind of weird because he kind of regressed, sleeping back into the parents' room on the floor. Um, it's like how earlier Sarah said, "I should have been there. I should have been the one that was doing it, not him." So now Sarah and Paul are there, like guns loaded, and trying to get into the room and trying to find out what's going on. And Will doesn't want to let him in the room. Like and it all like everybody's acting rational, like it's like to what their scenario, their situation is. Because if you were Will too, he was not being a dickhead or difficult. Like he knows exactly what's going to happen when Paul gets in there. He's going to want to try to kill him, or he's going to want to get rid of him, or he's going to like, yeah, it's like it's a tough spot. And Will is like, yeah, we just want to leave. We just want to take our stuff. We don't want to go into trouble. We just want to leave. And like everybody's in a tough spot, and they're not trying to be like crazy. They're just nobody knows what to do.
Yeah, and he's trying to be just Paul is trying to be just kind of professional, but at the same time cautious because yeah, he's with the gas mask on, and it's one of the things like they never Will and his wife never let Paul see their son, specifically his face. 'Cause I guess that's like a big telltale is like the black eyes, and they keep his face hidden, tucked away. But that's when Will, I guess, what surprises Paul with a gun of his own, which one of the agreements that they said in the beginning was all guns would be kept in a safe in Paul's room, and
Yeah,
Will agreed to it. It's like, yeah, okay, no problem. But he pulls out this revolver, at which point it's not one of Paul's, and he asks, "Where'd you get that?" And I guess he picked it up from where they were they had that little gunfight with the random marauders or what have you.
yeah. I mean, that would make sense too. Like it would make sense for him to keep a gun too. I mean, he's not like he was like. It's just one of those things. Like he has a family and he has a way to protect himself. Like so, like yeah, like neither nobody's really doing anything stupid. Like in a yet at least because I don't blame Will for trying to hide the gun. You know what I mean? So at least like it's the same thing goes for him. How can he completely trust Paul and Sarah and Travis and stuff? You know, they're helping him out, but for him to completely give up all his guns and shit like that, it's like,
Yeah, and it's at that point that's when Will makes Paul take his mask off.
yeah, like hey, you see me for who I am. I'm a human type thing, but it's kind of weird. But yeah, like I think there's a theme in that.
Hmm.
And then everything just kind of goes to shit though. Like that's when everything just kind of gets all sloppy and everything is just reactionary pretty much.
Yeah, because all the while this was going on, the wife was Paul's wife just kind of hid in the background. She never made herself known, and they get the drop on Will. But yeah, it just gets bad because at this point they're getting outside. Will and his wife are getting led at gunpoint for the inevitable. Basically, it's pretty much they're gonna get executed. But Will manages to fight. Paul he catches him off guard, and Will kicks the shit out of him pretty much.
Yeah, and then the wife Kim just starts running off with Andrew, right?
Yeah.
Like
At
it's everything just kind of she's just trying to get away. Self preservation, save the baby, or it's not the baby, save the kid.
at first, I think she's hanging around, but basically at this point, Will gets shot. At which point, yeah, that's when she decides to book it and she starts running away.
Does he get shot or does she get shot first? Or the she starts running? I thought no, yeah, I can't remember. Like it's just like it. Either way, it's just shit. But I don't remember the exact order.
Because
I know.
I'm pretty
I was gonna
sure.
say I know that Andrew gets shot first, like from the mom, Kim and Andrew. The dad shoots towards them, and he shoots Andrew first. She's carrying him, and I don't know if Will's been shot or not at this point.
Yeah.
And doesn't Sarah shoot him anyway?
I believe so.
Yeah, either way, it gets the shit. And when I guess Paul gets his bearings again, he shoots towards Kim to stop her, but he hits Andrew first.
Yeah, they don't show
And
it, but she's yelling basically, you killed him or whatnot, and
yeah, and it's just pretty brutal because he killed the kid. And I mean, he was just shooting in that direction. I don't know if he was specifically aiming for the kid or not.
nah, I don't think he
But then,
was.
yeah, I don't think so either. But Kim is crying, "You killed my baby! You killed my baby!" She might even say, "Why don't you kill me?" I don't know if she says that or not, but she's just yelling, and then almost with very little hesitation, he just boom, he shoots her and takes her out. Like like his humanity at that point is like she potentially could be sick, but she also potentially could not be sick. But and she just lost her son and husband. And he just takes her out like nothing. Like well, not like nothing. I mean, it was like he's not unaffected by it.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of it. Almost that's pretty much close to the end of the movie.
Yeah, but then, so I guess that family's been taken out, and it ultimately leads to the condition of Travis, and
Yeah, the dreams were accurate or whatever. It was foreshadowing that he is sick and he is dying. And then he has this one last dream on his deathbed.
yes, what was that dream? I'm trying to remember that one.
He walks outside again. I'm trying to remember. And it's not really like a dream, but like he's sleeping and then like I think he walks outside the red door. He wakes up, might see his parents killing the Kim and Will, I think. I'm trying to remember. It's like a real brief ah fuck. I don't know, I have to look it up. But I think he's just a real brief. He has that fifth dream. He wakes up, sees his parents shooting Kim and Will, I think. Or it's like it's spliced weird.
Hmm.
Can't really remember it. And then he dies. Travis dies.
Yeah, and I guess the mom was kind of telling him the same thing she was telling her father. It's like it's all right, everything's gonna be okay. Just kind of reassuring him that it's like don't worry. And
Yeah.
they don't show it, but basically, yeah, like, he's dead, and it basically cuts to the next scene where um Paul and his wife are at the same table, and they they look pretty rough, and it looks like they both are also showing signs of sickness, or they just recovering from just their injuries, but it looks like they have a bunch of sores all over their arms.
Whoa, 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 what? I didn't see that at all.
No?
No. Oh man, we're gonna have to pause this and I'm gonna have to because I didn't see that at all. I think it's just them cutting to them eating alone, like this thing that they're trying to protect their family and their unity and all this, and it's just
Yeah, they took a gamble and it did not pan out at all. And that's basically just how the movie abruptly ends. It's just like,
yeah, them sitting at the dinner table.
yeah.
But I think right now would be a good time to pause this, and I want to check to see if they show any signs of infection because that's that's kind of crazy. If it, I didn't notice that.
All right, I'll pause it.
Well, it turns out you're possibly correct. Yeah, it looks like Paul's eyes are black, and yeah, he didn't have black eyes, and it does look like Sarah has some type of thing on her arm.
'Cause, yeah, she never was in a physical altercation.
Yeah, and then yeah, the last dream that Paul had, I mean that Travis has, it just shows him he's walking towards the red door, which is open, and then he's going out the door, but as he's going out the door, he wakes up and he sees his parents crying, and he's dying, and then he dies pretty much.
Mhm.
And then they before the on the end credit scenes, Sarah pulls the turkey out of the oven, puts it on the table, and they cut it and say Happy Thanksgiving, Paul. And they eat the turkey.
That
So
was
that's why
the
we did this.
yes, the Thanksgiving theme that comes at night.
Yeah. That's why we watch it every Thanksgiving.
Yes. Um, when you saw it in theaters, I don't know how packed it was or not, but like when it just abruptly ended from that scene and I guess they went to the credits, like what was the audience reaction?
Oh, we saw it at dollar theaters, and there was not many people. It wasn't. I didn't make anything of the reaction actually. Wow, what was the reaction for you? People were clapping.
No, I guess again, I saw it opening night and it was a very packed theater. It's a big theater, so it was mostly full. And the when it abruptly went to the credits and the lights kicked on, it was like a lot of people were just like, "What?" And it was just a lot of like I guess confusion of that's how it ended. But um, I would say it was a sound of disappointment, but it was definitely something that they weren't expecting of how it to be for an ending, I guess. Which to an extent I can kind of get it because it was definitely not a happy ending, in which most movies have the little fluff ending where everything to an extent is a happy ending or everything there's a positive resolution in the end.
Yeah, now we're two different audiences here, and we saw No Country for Old Men together, right?
Yes.
That's the reaction that I got. I remember from when we watched the end of No Country for Old Men, where it was just kind of silence, and I was like, "What the fuck just that just happened?" Is
Yeah.
that how it ends? That's how I felt when we saw No Country for Old Men. But no, I didn't get that thing. From we had different experiences.
And I guess this would be a good time to bring up the whole circling back to the if you thought the trailer was misleading or not misleading.
I've seen this trailer. Well, obviously, I saw the trailer before I saw the movie. I usually do. I mean, unless it's the director I know. I don't go into movies blind unless yeah, like it's a director I know. So I wasn't too familiar with this guy, so yeah. But I didn't pick up. I didn't get any vibes after I watched this, like oh disappointment because the trailer. Like I said to me, I know callback to the Nope. I felt that trailer was more misleading than this trailer was, but I didn't feel at all misled by the trailer. How about you?
It felt like the trailer was maybe a little misleading because I guess like the teaser trailers when it was first coming out, not like the super long one, but like they were like the quick 30-second or minute long trailers, but it was getting like supposed rave reviews and it was saying like the scariest movie of all time or the scariest movie of the year or something, some type of hype like that. They had a really good hype man because that's how they were chalking it up. And I have to see about looking at some of those teaser trailers, but they definitely emphasize something. I mean, the title "It Comes at Night," so I think that was a big thing. Like, what's coming at night? I think that's where a lot of people were expecting something. Like, they're expecting a monster or some type of ghoul or something, especially with that title. And
Or some kind of Beavis and Butthead joke for It Comes at Night.
yes, but I think that was this a big part of it, where it was setting it up for this one thing. The trailers are very vague at the beginning, the teaser trailers, which I guess to an extent worked because it got people to see the movie, but then when they saw the movie, it was not what they expected because they were expecting a typical bloodfest monster movie or something like that, but that was not the case whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that. Like,
Because I think in one of the trailers, I have to try and find the right teaser trailer, but I think they showed like the kid's drawing of the men in gas mask, and they show him reacting, I think, to the nightmare where he's looking at something in
yeah,
the
so he's the old man or what, not grandpa.
yeah.
Like when you were bringing that up earlier, I can see that where, yeah, it looks like there's some actual creatures or monsters or something that's gonna happen or whatever. I can kind of see that, but it didn't seem like. And I saw it again, like you told me to put the trailer again or try to look up a trailer, and I didn't get that vibe too much. I mean, I got it more now, but even at that, it still didn't. I don't feel like it's a lot. I mean, I could kind of see how maybe a little bit somebody would be misled by it, but I didn't get that vibe.
You don't get a lot of things.
Yeah, like you said with Nope, I felt more that way, and you didn't feel that way with Nope. You didn't feel like that one was misleading.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
We can say that for another discussion, for another 2 hour discussion of if trailers are misleading or not.
yeah.
But this movie was on Netflix for the longest time, but it seems like it's no longer on there. But it's still a good movie. It's worth watching on either on demand, renting it, or on whatever streaming platform it may be on.
Well, do you want to know what happened? I know exactly what happens in this movie.
What happens in this movie?
Shit happens. No, this is my, and I think the clues are there for mostly for this to be like I believe this from the clues. So starting off real quick, the smoke from the grandpa at the beginning did that did Will did see that, and that's why he went there.
hmm
I think he bullshitted about it, and then he realized that Paul was believing him, so he went on with it, and they went along with it. It wasn't like it's not like he had bad intentions, but he was lying to him, and like I think everything's real practical. So what you call it? The son Travis has 5 dreams, and with the exception of the last one, which is kind of not like his deathbed dream, that's kind of doesn't really count too much. He has like I paid attention to where, and this is relevant. Would you rather be more comfortable or uncomfortable? What do you think would give you better dreams or worse dreams?
What would give you
Being
worse?
un
Yeah,
Yeah, or being more uncomfortable probably where you're sleeping, right?
yeah.
So there's 2 times when he sleeps on the floor for some reason. And let's see. The first time he sleeps on the floor is when he goes outside and sees Will. So that's when he actually leaves outside. The other dream, the first dream, he was on the inside where he sees the grandpa. He was sleeping on the bed. That's still a bad dream, but dream 2, when he's sleeping on the floor, he goes outside of the house. He sees Will. So that's kind of scary because that's the outside. That's the night. That's what comes at night. That's the scary stuff. The next dream is he's in the bed. That's when he has his best dream when Kim is like mounting him, kind of. So that's when he's sleeping on his bed. His fourth dream, he's sleeping on the floor. That's his worst dream. That's when the grandpa's sick and all that, and he gets sick. So he has these uncomfortable dreams. Like everything is connected though, and this is what happened too. And they give little clues. Um, Will and Kim are a pretty young couple. They're pretty amorous, and it shows like it kind of shows like okay, they're trying to make out, possibly have sex, but they're getting cock blocked by their kids. Andrew, right? He's there, and they kind of like, oh, okay. So I'm assuming that probably whenever they would have sex, wherever they were at their other place, they would probably put Andrew in another room, or he would eventually just kind of pick up on what's going on and kind of just leave. So that's probably what happened. They may have put Andrew in the other room, Grandpa's room, or Andrew might have kind of realized what was happening. He kind of just found himself out of the room, fell asleep on Grandpa's floor in his bedroom. So that explains why he was there. And then that's kind of explaining that, and that's why he was out of the room. And then there's also, like I said, there was the moaning that was going on before it's like the outside is seeping into the inside, like his dream state is seeping onto, like maybe when he was falling asleep he was hearing them having sex, or while he was sleeping he was hearing the sounds of them having sex, and it kind of segued into his dreams when she was mounting him. And then the other thing, and I took a picture of it, I'll send it to you. um when he has his first well, not his first, when he has this conversation with Will, the night that the dog Stanley got loose, and he talked to the son, and then he talks to Will, and they have the drink, and then he finds out he might potentially be lying. It's like, oh fuck, he realized, and he does believe that Will is lying. And you know what?
What's that?
Paul might probably over drinks a little bit. And you know what? Forgets to lock the door, or fucks with the door some, and it doesn't lock. He doesn't lock it correctly. And they show later on, after he kills Kim and Will and them, he's like feeling remorseful. It shows him go into the room, and I'll send you the pictures. And like he takes a swig of the drink, and it looks like there's less alcohol in there. So he probably, I have a picture that shows how much he had in there before, like when he poured the drink for Will and him.
Hmm.
And then the next morning, that's pretty much the next morning. There's a little bit less in there. So I'm assuming he probably got drunk the same night that they were having sex, the same night that Andrew, probably they put him in the other room while they were having sex, fell asleep, forgot to get him back, or maybe they were having sex and Andrew kind of just walked into the other room. And it's just all this series of bad events, but explainable and kind of realistic. It's just like this weird thing. And then, yeah, like he got drunk, he got buzzed, he didn't lock the door correctly. The dog gets in there. Like all this stuff is happening. And the dog and Will, there's like these weird parallels. I think the red door, has different meanings. Like the two main characters are the dad, Paul, and the son, Travis. And the dog and Will are like, they parallel each other, but they're separate things. They're coming from two different things. Will is an outside source coming inside. And that's like Paul, whether his is Wilson the volleyball or whatever, is he going to maintain this hope for humanity or whatever? He's this tough, hard guy that'll do whatever he has to do to keep his family protected. But yeah, he wants to believe in humanity, maybe, but he also is scared of it. So Will is this outside source coming in that he allowed. the dog Stanley is like this confirmation of his fears. It's like going to the outside, being on the inside and going on the outside and not being able to survive in the outside. The outside world is scary. If you leave safety and you try to come back, there's no coming back. If you leave, you can't come back. And if you do come back, you're going to not be the same. So I think it kind of got that thing for the dad, for Paul. It's like his his faith in humanity or just things like that. Like, and there's a lot of like, for Travis, it's different because he's I guess the closest to us as an audience member that we can kind of relate to in the sense that he's the most voyeuristic of the because he's the one that's always looking and trying to eavesdrop and trying to see what's going on. There's times when he's looking at his dad and trying to gauge maybe how what kind of man he is or what kind of good man he is or how good of a man he is. So there's just these things where it's just like he's trying to segue into this. He's leaving his innocence. I guess him and the Andrew are like at opposite ends. Andrew's this little kid, and um, Travis is kind of like a little kid because of what's going on. He's kind of being stunted, and he's even regressing a little bit. But just because he has no access to that outside world, and I think that's why his last dream, it just shows him like he's being able to just go through that door. That's his gateway to escape, I guess. I don't know. I'm just trying to ramble, but I'm pretty confident that that's what's happened in the movie with these characters
Hmm.
and like the events. That Paul got drunk a little bit, maybe forgot to unlock the door, didn't lock it right, or maybe even went outside and whatever, whatnot, got a little buzzed. The same night the dog came in,
Do you think?
the same night.
No, I guess not. I was like, do you think, kind of going on that theory that you're talking about right now, that maybe Paul went looking for the dog in a kind of a drunken think things over. I pissed my kid off on just whatever. Do you think maybe he went looking for it?
That could that could be too, or just anything along those lines. Like because yeah, I'm thinking because then it's like okay, well, how did the kid get infected? Like that's the only other thing. How did Andrew? Well, how was Andrew? But then they didn't. He was just crying. They didn't really show him too sick, right? But
Correct. No, he
I
wasn't.
don't know.
He didn't show signs of sickness. So it's just like maybe a kid the kid being woken up, or just like wanting to go to bed. Because if he showed sign of sicknesses at that point, Travis wouldn't have held his hand.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like any of that could be a possibility because the dog and like yeah, like how did the dog get inside? Like you said, because they boarded up the window and stuff. So possibly yeah, the dad let him in or
Because
whatever. I
Will
don't
makes
know.
that accusation at him, like, you're the only one with the key. It's like it's around your neck. How could any of us
Yeah,
do it?
which is true. But then the only other thing that probably would have sobered him up pretty good if he found the dog fucking bloodied and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's what happened with some of that stuff. And like I said, I'm gonna try to send you those pictures of the liquor bottle or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I don't know because there's other things. Like I said, they like why wouldn't like what the director? Like I said, he doesn't. It doesn't seem like filler. They showed a couple of scenes where they were kind of like gonna have sex, kind of or wanted to, but like the son was around, Andrew was around. So like I'm thinking that. probably what happened. And then, like I said, one of those dreams, it's opposite, it's reverse, it's almost foreshadowing in a different way. I think it was his second or third dream where he sees Andrew in the bed by himself, but you could hear um, Kim and Will having sex somewhere in the distance.
Hmm.
So it's like, why have that if it doesn't have any
Any
significance?
importance or yeah. I don't know. That's a valid point because yeah, if they're gonna do their thing, it makes sense that yeah, they would close the door so Andrew doesn't walk in on him and he gets tired and sleepy, so and finds a spot to crash. But then, yeah, how did he come across the dog or whatnot? Or how did he
Yeah,
get sick?
the dad had to have left the door unlocked in my thing because yeah, he didn't unless the dog broke the window, but they boarded the windows and the dog can't pick a lock.
Or can it?
You know, maybe.
No, it makes
You see my
sense.
bad.
What?
You see my badass high quality pictures I sent you.
It looks like his head's all fucked up.
It does more disservice to my argument. Like, you gotta use these pictures. Fuck it. That's what it is. All right. It ain't beautiful, right? I think that's what happened in this movie. And I think the night is just the fear, the paranoia, the uncertainty. And it also was when the dog came back, it's also Will came in. So I don't know. But like I said, I think there's clues in my head at least to why some of this should happen.
Yeah, because it was I guess a well done movie, and I guess I was watching the special features of the Blu-ray, and I guess that final scene where the I guess Andrew gets shot. It's like that wasn't Andrew. I guess it was a prop or like a doll or something. Just they didn't want him to have to I guess go through that scene.
Not like Jodie Foster and Taxi Driver when they were talking to her about brain particles and watching somebody's head get exploded. Shit.
Yeah, it was a different era.
But I thought it was a good movie.
Taxi Driver or It Comes at Night.
Both of them. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it. And I think it's a good Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Native American Heritage Month movie.
Yeah,
It tackles the themes of pilgrims and Indians for Native American History Month, sickness with the current pandemic we're in, togetherness for Thanksgiving. So why wouldn't it be the good best Thanksgiving movie ever?
also, yeah, always wash your hands. Careful what you touch.
Yeah, exactly.
And careful who you let into your house.
Yeah, yeah, very good for the month of November. And I think there's no more perfect movie than this one at this time.
Yeah. Any last words on this, or you're good?
Yeah, I'm pretty good with it.
Same. I liked it. I enjoyed the movie, and I guess for me, it's kind of saying it was a slow burn. It was just the way that it was a different type of horror movie. It wasn't your yeah the typical blood, tits and ass, and like very fast paced fillers. It was just more subtle.
More realistic and organic
Oh
for
yeah,
the
very realistic. Just having to go through those things, having to make to be in their shoes, to have to make those decisions from start to finish of do we trust a stranger, let him and his family into our house, to in the end, it's like how are we gonna handle the situation now? I think that's a good stopping point for this movie corner discussion of It Comes at Night, Thanksgiving edition, Black Friday edition.
this brief edition.
See how it's probably pushing 2 hours.
All right.
We're getting there. We'll try and make the next one 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, good thing we're recording this early afternoon. I got some fucking pies to make.
Well, yes, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. This is Opposite 2003 with Augie the Froggy.
Hey,
Happy Thanksgiving, gobble gobble, wash your hands.
be safe.
Yeah,
Black Friday.
have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this odds and ends gaming video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting, sharing with your friends, and subscribing if you haven't already. And as always, don't forget to settle down.